Akeem, tell me your initial thoughts first on Von Miller taking a pay cut, and then your initial thoughts on him probably being on the roster for the next 2 seasons based off of what they did with his contract. Honest, don't hold back.
So, as far as the Von Miller contract, right? I don't know how people felt when it initially happened. I know we was all excited. He was 33 years old. He signed a huge contract. We all thought that it would essentially be a 3-year deal. Well, things happen. It's a combative sport. Injuries happen. Now, it's a high possibility he could be on the team for his 35th year and 36-year-old seasons. As far as production, I understand that these players, we want to have maximum success as football players, especially when you have the contract you have, especially when you're supposed to come in and produce to the level you're supposed to come in and produce too. But when you have a significant injury, we have to scale back as fans a little bit. This is not, it was not a minor injury. This was an ACL tear. ACL tear for a 34-year-old player is something significant to overcome, and it's not impossible to overcome, but it is going to take some time. And last year, I believe, the arrest didn't help, right? Being in the news for the wrong reasons, for negative situations doesn't help, especially when you're not producing, when you're not capitalizing. So it was a rough year for Von Miller statistically, but I understood what he was going through. It wasn't going to be an easy thing trying to produce, even though you had the contract. When you just tore your ACL a year prior, you have to get back the strength in that knee. You have to get back the mental capacity to trust that knee again, to make those shortcuts, to make those type of moves and ghost moves he's able to perform that he couldn't perform with the bulky knee last year. So this year, I'm hoping to see some semblance of the old Von Miller we've got accustomed to for the first 8 games in 2022, when he had 8 sacks in 11 games. When he was a force to get into the pass rusher. He had 45 hurries. He had, a forced fumble. He had 13 total tackles. PFF, take PFF for what it's worth, but he had above average grades across the board. And I think this year, will we see the same Von Miller in terms of elite play? Probably not, but I would like to see some impact in the game for Von Miller. I would like to see him get in the sack sheet for the Buffalo Bills this year, and I think he will. I think he is a generational talent that will get back some type of explosiveness and have some type of productivity this year. How much would it equate to the contract that he's gotten? I'm not sure, but I do expect Von Miller to make some type of impact.
Yeah, I agree. I think that at some point this season, and it all depends on a lot of things. It's not just line up Vaughn and he's going to go either get sacks, get hurries, make tackles for loss. That whole line needs to be looked at, right? We all know what we're getting from Ed Oliver. We got that, right? And the other guy we got on the end is Greg Rousseau, but who's lining up next to Ed Oliver? We still don't know that, right? And we'll talk about that here in a little bit, but there's a lot of unknowns when it comes to Von Miller. You know, this was his second ACL injury, and I understand the other one was earlier in his career, but he's, like you said, 35, and he'll be 36 next year. And I believe he's going to be here for 2 years. I don't think even if he has an average that he's going to be gone next year. I think that there's a relationship built in there with Brandon Beane. And if you call me naive or whatever, I don't care. I think that Von Miller, when looking at this contract, put his general manager hat on, because we all know that's what he wants to be when he's done with football. And he said, I'm betting on myself that for 2 years, I can give you the best Von Miller that I can be at 35 and 36, and I can be productive for you. I will take a $1.5 million base salary to be here, so you can have $7 million or $8.6 million to use to staff this team, to help roster this team. And say what you want. People say, well, yeah, because he stinks. That's why he took a pay cut. No, I think there's part of it that I think Vaughn just wants to win, like all the rest of the Bills players do. He wants to win. He doesn't need the $8 million. Like, Vaughn's going to retire and be just fine. So I think there's more to it than that. I think it's all based off of scheme and the players they add and surrounding pieces that are going to help Ed Oliver and Greg Rousseau and Von Miller. So there's more to it than that. So we'll feel like he's going to be back in the fold. I don't think he's going to have an 8 or 10 sack season, but I think we're going to see some respectable production from Von Miller, and it may take some time. Who knows? He may come out of training camp and still be a little slow and be a little sloppy, but you know, he's a professional and he's been doing this for a very long time. And I think we just need to let the process play out before we judge what's going on in front of us. And I think he'll get to a place where he is a very serviceable edge rusher and he can be productive for the Bills on defense. That's all I'm going with that.
And the important thing about that is your surrounding pieces. What are you surrounding? Because we spoke about, is Von Miller, it's Ed Oliver, it's Gregory Rousseau. We don't know about one tech. We're not 100% sure about depth pieces. We got some spots to fill. What are the surrounding pieces going to be like for Von Miller? Is it going to be that continued heavy rotation, which I think right now for Von Miller is necessary? To have that continued heavy rotation, they're going to have a nice complement of guys that's going to have to be signed or going to have to be drafted from the Buffalo Bills. How seriously do the Buffalo Bills and that organization, Brandon Beane and company, take the defensive line? Are they going to spend money on the defensive line this offseason? How much money are the Buffalo Bills going to get up to spend money, to have money this offseason? Will defensive line be an early pick in the draft? We're all talking about wanting a receiver in the first round. Is an edge rusher or a defensive tackle in play? So a lot of answers that's going to be solved starting within the next week or so, couple of weeks, starting with free agency.